Salam guys! Welcome to Twice Inspired with Habibah
and Shukri.
So we really hope this podcast will inspire you.
We're just two best friends who love to have deep, meaningful conversations.
And even though the things we're going to talk about are nothing new,
sometimes it's helpful to hear it twice, so you can be twice inspired. Hi guys! Salam!
Hi guys! Episode 11.
Welcome to episode 11.
Yeah.
We hope everyone is well. How are you, Habs?
I'm good, Alhamdulillah. How are you?
I'm good.
Me and Shukri are back together, face to face, for the first time in ages.
I know, finally, because I got so used to recording online, but alhamdulillah. Should we do a bit of catch up, or should we just, because I don't know what to say.
Yeah, go on, let's do a bit of a catch up. So today, basically, the plan is I'm just going to talk about my experiences in Palestine because I didn't really touch upon it that much in the last episode. I might repeat myself. I might say some of the things I said last episode in this episode again, but it's fine because repeat until Palestine is free. How are you, Shooks?
I'm good. Like, it's half term, so I'm just at home.
That's nice.
Chilling, even though it feels like it's already finished, which is a bit sad.
I know, guys. Time goes so fast. I don't understand how it's Thursday. I feel like the week just started. SubhanAllah, it's crazy.
Literally. It's actually scary that time is actually running out. Like, before you know it, it's like the next year and you're like, oh my God, what is actually going on?
It's a sign of the day of judgment, apparently. Well, that's what I heard when I was younger. Sometimes you hear things when you're younger and then you realise when you're older, like, that wasn't true. But
yeah,
I don't know. Apparently it is. And, I mean, it's definitely end time, so...
I know, that is crazy. There was, when people say, like, you know how I think it was you that told us that Starbucks doesn't actually support Israel. Yeah. And why did we think that for ages? Or
because I think the CEO, the ex-CEO, he did, I think. And I think he still has some shares in Starbucks or something. But the way I see it is, like, it's not on the BDS website. So, and the BDS website, which is the Boycott, Divestment, Sanctions, I think. But anyway, they're an organisation that call for the boycotting of Israeli products and stuff. And they believe that's one of the best ways to help Palestine and end Israeli occupation and stuff. And it's not on their website, and I tried to search it and it wasn't on there, so... Yeah.
So maybe now it's like they don't support it.
It's on the Starbucks website that they don't particularly have any affiliations or support Israel directly or something like that anyway. So
that's good.
So we can still have our frappuccinos.
I didn't even go to Starbucks anyway, so I don't even care. Like, it doesn't even bother me.
I think some people still think it is and believe it is. I don't know. Allahu Alam,
there's so many things in this world. You just don't know.
Puma does, and I was in TK Maxx the other day and I saw some nice Puma shoes. I was like, no, can't buy these. So and that's on the BDS website. So I think things that are on the BDS website start with that, and then when you can, check your fruit and vegetables as well. Actually, that's quite an important thing. And that's
will it say though? How will you know?
Yeah, it will say from Israel, or I think the Jordan Valley or something like that. And also there's this app you can download. Let me get it out what it's called, and you can scan things. I haven't actually used it, which is so bad because I keep forgetting, but I haven't really been shopping.
What do you do, anyway. Scan the bank barcode?
Yeah. Boycott. It's called Boycott, and it's orange.
Spell it.
Buycott.
Boycott.
It's a bit slow, but yeah. We should probably use that a bit more and stuff, but...
Yeah, defo.
Yeah, look, we already started talking about Palestine already. How did that happen?
No, but it's fine. I think we could just talk about it. So, Habibah, you lived in... I was going to say London.
Yes, I did.
You lived in Palestine for a year, maybe
9
less.
months, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe do you want to start talking about... I'll be the interviewer.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about, first of all, how did that come about? Why did you want to move there? And, what made you make that change?
Yeah, so, obviously, from a young age, I've always been interested in the Palestinian cause and everything. And me and Shukri would go and protest back in the day, ages ago. Yeah. And I've just always obviously wanted to visit Palestine and go there. And when I was younger, I thought it's just this place you could never go to, right?
Yeah.
But when I realised, wait, people actually do travel there and go there. I watched this documentary where Loki was travelling around and stuff, and I was just like, oh my God, I want to go. And then I found out SOAS, University of London, which is the university I went to, they have Arabic as an option, and the Euro board option is Palestine. So I was like, I'm going to SOAS just so I can go to Palestine. Like, so I applied for Arabic, and yeah, so the time
was that the only option, or did they have other?
They had
places?
4 other countries: Morocco, Jordan, and Egypt. And I had already lived in Egypt, so I was like, forget that. I've already done that. Although I didn't mind going back to see my friends and stuff, but it would have been in Alexandria anyway, and I lived in Cairo, so
yeah.
So I was just like, I'm going to Palestine. Like, yeah, that's always been the place I wanted to go.
Yeah.
So alhamdulillah, we were actually one of the last. So after we went, the year after us didn't get to go because I think there were just problems, and it was just too difficult, like, because the Israelis were making it really difficult for people to get visas and stuff like that. And then I think the year after that went, but now this year, the year that's coming up, I don't know if they're going to be able to go because everything that's happening now. So we'll have to see. So we were quite lucky. Like, we were kind of the last batch, one of the last few batches to go. But it was even kind of difficult for us because our visa expired after 3 months. They didn't renew it for us. And one of my classmates got banned from Israel for life when she left, because they were like, your visa's expired, why have you still been here? But alhamdulillah, like, they didn't say we got banned anyway. Like, so they were just like, why is your visa expired? And we were just like, we tried to renew it. Like, we showed them like the documents where we tried to renew it, and we were in a group, and we were like hijabis, Bailey Muslims, and she went to speak to someone, and then she just came back and she just gave us our paper that lets us leave, and she never said anything to us. Whereas everyone had different experiences. This is the thing with Israel, you'll have different experiences because they just pick and choose what they want to do on the spot. They pick and choose how they want to treat you, and that's what happened to me many times when I went through checkpoints. Like,
but okay, so let's start from the beginning. So at the beginning, when you were going there, was it fine? Like, did you think we're going to go there for 9 months? It's going to be fine for 9 months. We need to renew it, whatever.
So first, it's not certain that you'll even get through. So when we arrived in the airport, we get told to wait in the waiting room, obviously, because we're Muslim. And we were just in a waiting room for like 3 hours, and there were 6 of us together, I think, or 6 or 7 of us traveling together. And a few of us got picked out to go and be interviewed, and I was one of them, basically. So I was kind of just like so chill. I was just like literally in the waiting room, like being on my phone. Like, I was just like, I don't care about these Israelis. I don't care if they're going to question me. I don't care. Like, I wasn't scared, nothing. Whereas like usually people are a bit scared. Like, oh my God, what are they going to do? Are they going to question us? Are they going to like keep us in for hours and hours? Because that can happen. Like, if they think you're suspicious, if they find something suspicious on you, like on your social media or something, they'll like be like, why is it? Why have you uploaded this? Why have you said this about Israel? Why have you said this about Palestine? And then they'll keep you like So I was just chill because I deactivated my Facebook and everything. And
is that something you guys were told to do?
Yeah, it's something you're told to do, like deactivate everything and things like that. Because obviously on my Facebook I probably had free Palestine stuff.
Yeah.
And then a couple of my friends got questioned. One of them came out and she was like, oh yeah, they asked me this, they took my phone, and like, but she was okay. Another of my friends got questioned, and he had been to Libya. But luckily they didn't ask him like what countries you've been to, because he's from Libya. But I think if they had found out he had been to Libya, like they wouldn't have probably let him through. So they come and questioned me, and they were just like asking me questions, and they asked me where my dad was born and where my granddad was born, and I just told them the truth. And then some other questions I can't really remember. But when my friend's brother came to visit, they asked him questions like, do you pray 5 times a day? How religious are you? And he was just like, I try to pray 5 times a day. Like, and they were like, why have you donated to this charity? Like, just Islamic charities. And he was like, to donate to charity. Exactly. They know, because like, I think when you give your email, they like probably have like this database where they can like check what is linked to your email address.
Yeah.
So another tip, if you're trying to visit Palestine, is like maybe just give like a dead email address that you don't really use. But I think I gave them like my normal email address, which I use for everything. But alhamdulillah, maybe they just couldn't be bothered to dig in with me. Like, my uncle, he tried going, he got rejected. He went in as a group, in like a tour group. He got rejected, but other people didn't.
But
so
what,
it's just
what do
like,
they give
they
reasons
just pick and choose.
for rejecting? They just say you're not allowed to come.
Yeah, like,
that's so weird.
And then there have been stories of like actual Palestinians who are like from the Palestinian diaspora.
They want to go back.
They want to go back, but they can't. And they're treated really badly sometimes, especially if you're like an activist kind of type of person.
Yeah, no, I can imagine.
Yeah.
And so then where did you stay? Was it fine? Was it easy? Like, obviously you're in Palestine now, so was it different or?
Yeah, so we arrived in Israel, in Tel Aviv, and like we got our 3-month visa on when we arrived. So then we were like, okay, yeah, we're let through, we're allowed in, alhamdulillah. And then you get like an Israeli like transport car with an Israeli number plate to take you to like a part in Ramallah usually where like Palestinians can pick you up in the Palestinian car, but Palestinian car with Palestinian number plates aren't allowed to go into Israel. So it's like an Israeli car has to take you near to the West Bank, and then someone picks you up from there. So that's what happened. And then even when my mum came to visit, my friend had a friend who had an Israeli car, so he picked my mum up because he has an Israeli number plate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because obviously if you have a Palestinian car, you can't go into Israel with that car. So then we arrived, and our university had like set up temporary accommodation for us. And then a few days later we started studying in university, and
what was the university like? And was it different? Like,
it was,
could you feel the vibes?
So I was really shocked because it was like really nice and like modern and like built up nicely, and I was like, oh my god, I thought this country was going to be like war torn and horrible. And that's the thing, like so obviously I was in West Bank, Nablus, and like there's a lot of beautiful nice places in the West Bank where it's like modern and it's nice and it's beautiful, and obviously there's also like places where it's not so built up and it's a bit like dirty and stuff, but that's just a lot of places in the Middle East anyway. So I was really shocked how modern it was, and I felt so safe. Like, I felt safer than I did in London because the people are all Palestinians. They're all like Muslims, or some of them might be Christians, obviously, and they're all just like, they're just nice people. Like, you don't like, I've been to Egypt, right, and like you can feel that around you that there's crooks, like people trying to steal your money. But in Palestine, you don't feel that. Like, there's a lot more trust. Like, I'll get in a taxi and I feel so much more safe being in the taxi, knowing they're not trying to boops me. Like, whereas in Egypt, it's like, oh my gosh, I felt so scared. So it's a very different vibe in that sense from like other Middle Eastern countries where you do feel a lot safer because just the people are more genuine and real. Not to like put down other countries or anything. I love Egypt so much. Like, I love it. But I guess when the enemy is someone else, it's kind of like you all have to be good people. Like they all stick together and they're all good people because they know that there's a big enemy out there kind of thing. So that was one thing that I loved about it. And obviously just the people, they're just so friendly and nice. Sorry, what was the question you just asked me?
I was asking you, how was it very different to be there and stuff? Like, I guess to London as well. But obviously you came from Tel Aviv, so you were in Israel. And you had to do all these checks and all these things. You had to stop here and there. Then once you were there, was it like... Because obviously you're still in the same country.
It was But is it like... It was different, it was... So, because it was the nighttime when we arrived, so I didn't really get to see how Israel was built up and stuff, and like... but obviously later on I visited those parts of Israel, and it's very different. Like, Israel's like just a normal Western good-looking kind of country. Normal houses, everything, whereas Palestine is more like as if you're going to like a Middle Eastern country like Egypt or Morocco or somewhere like that. So it is that contrast.
Interesting.
But it's so beautiful that like I love it, especially Nablus. Like, it's really hilly, so like it's a city in between two mountains. So like you have, it's really nice, and like if you're on one side of the mountain, your view is like the other side of the mountain, and it's just like there's always these really nice mountainous views. So in all the flats that we were in, it's like you're really likely to just get like a really beautiful view of Nablus. And so I remember just our first day there, just like all of us filming like the view from our window because it was so nice. And like there's this really my favorite spot in Nablus called Salmon Nablus, where it's on one of the hills, and it's just a really beautiful viewpoint of like the sunset and everything. And I want to post some pictures to the Twice Inspired page of Palestine and stuff, so I'm planning to do that inshallah. But so Palestine itself is just so beautiful. Like, there's so many different go on.
Were the people like, so obviously before you went to Palestine, you're thinking, the poor Palestinians, free Palestine, it's so bad what's happening to them, like it's so terrible. Like, once you were there, were the people like what you expected? Obviously, as you said, they're very nice people and everything, but were you shocked about how they were? Were you like, did it meet your expectations?
So I thought like everyone would be really poor, and like it would just be really bad. But it wasn't like they kind of live normal lives. When I say normal, obviously they're under occupation and they have very limited freedom, but as in like they have their businesses, they have their shops, they have their jobs. Do you know what I mean? They're studying, they're going to university, they're like normal in that sense, alhamdulillah. Like, and obviously when the political situation, I don't want to say political because it's not even political, when like just the situation is good, like I guess it's good, and when it's kind of bad, it's
really bad.
Like you can feel that people are kind of mourning and are in like a state of sadness. Like, for example, I was there when Israel declared Jerusalem was their capital, so it's like I woke up for my exam finding out it's cancelled because the whole of the West Bank is on strike because of this news that Donald Trump has declared Jerusalem to be the capital. So it's just mad, like things like that would happen where it's not like a normal kind of world in that sense. Like randomly there'll just be strikes, well not randomly because obviously because of that things that would happen, and like exams would just get cancelled and things like that.
What about other day-to-day things, like were there any other things that you could feel they were like not free? So like
so I was gonna get into all of that. So so their freedom is very limited and restricted. So many Palestinians haven't even been able to go to the sea, or they haven't seen the sea, or because even though it's not far from them, because they're just restricted to travel anywhere or go anywhere, and it's like lockdown, but worse, because when we're on lockdown, we can still travel to another city if we wanted to, or just travel anywhere. But it's like with Palestinians,
and we know it's because there's a virus and a pandemic.
Exactly, like, it's not because we're going to get stopped by Israeli soldiers and police, and there's checkpoints and there's guns and everything. Like, whereas Palestinians are just confined to the West Bank, and if they want to travel, they have to get visas. It's just very difficult for them to travel or go anywhere. And most of the time, it might just be rejected anyway. And also, a lot of Palestinians don't get to go to Jerusalem, which is the heart of Palestine. And imagine, like, that's so many Palestinians' wishes and dreams to be able to visit Jerusalem, but they can't because they have to get a visa. It's not called a visa. What is it called? Like a permit to go to Jerusalem, right? And
what about the other way around? Like, so first of all, are Israelis allowed? Are they allowed to go into the West Bank, or do they not even want to?
Okay,
And also, what is it like in Israel? But maybe we'll come to that after.
So the thing is, so I mentioned this in the last episode, I think, within West Bank, there's like hundred thousands of settlements, right? So, for example, in one of the villages that we would visit called Sebastia, there's this hilltop view, and from there, you can see a settlement. And like my Palestinian friend, he was like, it's just so sad because you can see these settlements like in our vicinity, like, and in our view, with these nice big houses, all these facilities, all of this, while we're living like this, and they're free to do whatever they want, and they're living in our land in like what is meant to be ours, what was given to us in 1948 by the UN, like, kind of thing, even though the rest of Israel
like,
was
all
theirs
of
anyway,
it is theirs anyway, but it's like
the part that is meant to be theirs by according to law, international law or whatever, that's even being taken over. And it's like, so on that hilltop view, when I first went, there was a Palestinian flag, right? Next time I went, it wasn't there. It had been destroyed, and like you could see like that it had been damaged and stuff, and there was like a pit and stuff, because apparently like they fire, I don't know if it's rockets, but they like target that area to destroy the flag, because the settlers can see the Palestinian flag from their settlement, because it's on a hill. They don't like it. So even within the West Bank, they don't have the freedom to even fly their own flag. And
that's crazy that they would destroy it just because it shocks the view of other people that are there.
So that's like the difference.
So I think even people were saying like that's why it's not like, even though they've like separated it out, like Israel's plan is to just take over the whole thing.
Exactly. And the settlements prove that. And so even within the West Bank, there's like hundreds of checkpoints, hundreds of settlements everywhere, where it's like, so if the Israelis want to, they probably could go into the West Bank, but they've been brainwashed so much to believe that Palestinians are terrorists and that they're evil, that they'll probably be too scared to.
Yeah.
But you do get the odd Israeli like going in and like realizing the truth and seeing it for themselves and seeing the conditions they're in and stuff. So there'll be settler bus stops and things like that, which will be like near to where the Palestinians live, and sometimes they cross roads and like settlers would attack the Palestinians and things like that. And yeah, so another thing is the checkpoints. There's so many checkpoints. So if you want to go from like A to B, usually without checkpoints it might take 45 minutes, but with the checkpoints it takes like 3 hours. So
yeah, like what happens at a checkpoint? What do they do?
So we had to go through checkpoints in order for us to go into Israel, right? Or we could get a settler bus, but we would still have to get off at the checkpoints because we wear hijab, like, and would obviously get stopped. So once I went with my friends, 2 of them didn't wear hijab. I was wearing hijab, I was with my mum. We got stopped and got told to get off, and we got our visas and stuff checked. But my 2 non-hijabi friends didn't, because they just blended in with the Jews, and like the Israeli soldiers just didn't check their thing, probably thinking not anything suspicious. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not, I mean, let's not check them. So things like that happen. So the settlers, they can easily get from place A to B easily, because they don't have to go through the checkpoints. But Palestinians, if you just want to go somewhere, and a lot of Palestinians work in Israel as well, so every morning they have to go through these checkpoints. It takes hours to go through and to go around, and then there's also walls built up everywhere to separate like just wherever Israel would just want to build a wall, they'll build a wall just through in the middle of villages, cutting off villages literally. So 2 villages would just be split up because they just decided to build a wall in it. And like once I remember we were going camping in the desert, and we went to pick up someone from university, and it was like they lived right near a wall, and they were saying how her house, I think, is literally just near the wall, but in order for her to go, she has to go like all the way round, and it's just so long, even though her house is literally just across the other side of the wall. So it's just crazy things like that, and it is an apartheid. Like, you can't say it's not. Like, and people even say
very separate.
And so the checkpoints, sometimes they can just be really crowded and really busy and just like horrible, and like Palestinians would just get rejected potentially as well. I remember once we went on a trip and we all had our visas, everything, Palestinians all had their visas, and then we were waiting in the queue for the checkpoint, and then just the checkpoint decided to close, so everyone had to go to another checkpoint. And it's just like they just don't have no respect and no care for Palestinians' time or lives or anything, and just whatever they want to do, they want to do. And
so they basically they have to carry around their ID. They have to obviously act in a certain way. They have to. They're not just able to go somewhere. Like, they question, where are you going? Why are you going?
Yeah, and you have to show them all your documents. If you're going into Israel, you have to show any documents. Obviously, check all your bags, check everything, get stopped and searched. And a lot of deaths happen at checkpoints because soldiers will just attack people at checkpoints, and if they think you're suspicious, if they have any reason to be suspicious, they'll just shoot. And there's been so many circumstances where they've killed Palestinian women.
Oh my God.
For absolutely no reason. And there's video footage of Israeli police putting knives next to them after they've killed them, just so they can say they had a knife.
Yeah.
So they kill innocent Palestinians and try to frame them to make out as if they were suspicious, or that
kind of harm,
they were causing some sort of harm or whatever. So yeah, it's just crazy. And me personally, like, I never like saw anything with my own eyes like violent. I did actually on 2 occasions. One was we were just driving to another city, and I think we were passing a settler bus stop, and there were all these soldiers pointing their guns at this man who I'm guessing was obviously Palestinian. He was just sitting on the floor, like, defenseless, literally just sprawled on the floor with his belongings everywhere, and like 5 Israeli soldiers pointing their guns at him, like, and he was just like kind of like this with his arms open. And obviously we were driving past, so we didn't really get to see what happened, but that was just so horrible to see. And I was just thinking, oh my gosh, like, what's going to happen to him? Like, I just couldn't stop thinking about it for the rest of the journey. Like, is he going to get shot? Like, are they going to let him go? And you could just see, like, his face. He just looked, like, obviously, like, helpless.
Because it's like, clearly he's not a threat then. If you guys are all standing around him with your guns. And,
they're just cowards, because they all have guns and weapons and everything.
But it's like literally like the soldiers. It's like. Like, obviously, the people that are in government, people that are in control, they have their own agenda, blah, blah, blah. But the actual people that are this, they must be, like, brainwashed, or they genuinely believe, like, they're doing something good, like, for their country.
Yeah.
But I always just think that is just so bizarre and stuff like that. Even with that's what I thought with the Nazis as well. I'm just like, okay, yeah, Hitler's messed up and blah, blah, blah. But, he would be able to do nothing if it wasn't for you guys, basically backing him up. But I know they were obviously brainwashed as well, and they go through these things where, like, everyone's trying to please Hitler as well. Like, there's, like, in the Nazi party, like, they were all in competition with each other and all wanted to, like, prove how much they were, like, for their country and how patriotic they were.
That's literally sounds like Israeli.
Yeah. Because that's how it works. Because then that way you're, like, too focused on that. You don't think, wait, hold on a minute, like, what are we doing? Why are we letting ourselves be used in that way? But that's what happens to a lot of people, like... But I mean, if you are from a family where that's been the narrative for such a long time... But I don't know. Yeah. I just feel like they... Like,
I just don't understand, like, innocent children, how you can just be...
Yeah, like, if you were fighting men, fine.
Exactly. But, like, innocent women and children, that you've been brainwashed so much. And so, for example, I met some... Like, not all Israelis are bad, and there are a lot of Israelis that... are pro-Palestinian and like sympathise with the Palestinian cause and like on the left wing kind of thing, but some of them...
That's good, but like the soldiers, that's just what
they could be shooting out of fear, but that fear is irrational and just...
Yeah, it's not real.
It's not right, like, because they've been told from a young age that Palestinians are terrorists and they want to kill you and they want to attack you and they want to take your home and take your land. Like, that's what they've been told. So it is very sad, but it's like... it has to come to a point where you kind of realise for yourself, like, do you know what I mean? And so one Israeli that I met, she was saying how she's left-wing. She's like, she sympathises with the Palestinian cause and she doesn't agree with what Israel are doing. But she even told me herself, she was like, but when I see Muslims, I straight away think terrorists and I'm scared. Like, and she knows we're not. And I was thinking, what did you think when you saw me then? Like, she's like, as soon as I see someone in a hijab, I literally just think that. Because I've been brainwashed to think that. And I was like, that's just crazy. And she is a sympathiser with the Palestinian cause and she still thinks that. So the brainwash is real. And so obviously, that not all Israelis are bad as well. Like, and for example, like, that's one thing I want to talk about as well. The diversity in Palestine as well, like Christians, Muslims and Jews can live peacefully together, and they do, because there's this community called the Samaritan community in Nablus. They live in Nablus and I visited them a couple of times. They're an ancient kind of like Jewish kind of like, I don't know what to call them, ethnicity. Like there's only like maybe 600 of them, and they live peacefully in Nablus, in the middle of West Bank, with Palestinians. The school I volunteered in, one of the students was a Samaritan Jew, living among, like, the Palestinian Muslim children. Do you know what I mean? And then in Bethlehem, you have the Palestinian Christians, because obviously Bethlehem's a very Christian city where there's lots of holy Christian sites and stuff. So it's not an issue of religion. Like, Palestinians have no issues with Jews. Or even maybe with some Israelis. Like, some of my Palestinian friends would work with Israelis because... they needed to work and trade with them in order to kind of go about their business and their work, like, because it involved that. So it's not that they hate all Israelis or they hate Jews or anything like that. It's just they don't want to be oppressed. They just want freedom. They just want normal human rights that everyone deserves to have. And there are some Israelis that realise that as well. And I think that is like one step to kind of the freedom of Palestine. But obviously we know Islamically that will only happen when Allah allows it. And
what is it like? So what was your experience like in Israel? Like, did you ever go there? Obviously you were studying in the West Bank, but did you ever go into Israel and, like, obviously wear a hijab? So was it like, what was that experience like?
So okay, this is like, I love this story for myself. So it was our first like month in Palestine, and I think it was our first week actually. And just before we started university, some of us wanted to go and like have like a day out and we thought, let's go to the beach in Israel, in Tel Aviv. And two of my hijabi friends, actually my cousin Aisha, who was on our podcast, and my other friend, they were like, nah, they're not gonna go because like in Israel, like people just stare at you and they're really horrible to you because you're a hijabi. Like, I don't want to be in that environment, kind of thing. I was like, I want to go. I want to see what it's like.
Yeah.
So I went with 2 of my non-hijabi friends and like our Palestinian, and then like a boy as well from our school. So I was the only hijabi, but I was like, you know, I'm down for this. Let's see what's going to happen, kind of thing. But we left late, obviously. So and like I said, because of the checkpoints and because of all the walls and stuff, it takes so long to get from somewhere, right? So what should have been like an hour journey ended up being like some mad 3-hour journey. So, and we had to pass through Jerusalem in order to get to Tel Aviv. By the time we got to Jerusalem, we were like, it's so late, like we're going to get there so late. Let's just stay in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
So none of us were dressed to go to the masjid. I mean, I was, because I was wearing a skirt and a top anyway, but like my other friends who weren't hijabis, they weren't necessarily dressed to go to the masjid. Then you have to obviously dress modesty to go. Not they weren't modest, but they didn't have hijab and abaya. They were just wearing their normal clothes. So we were in Jerusalem. We went into the old city. And this is my first time there, right, obviously. And I'm just like, oh, this is so nice. Like, I love this old city vibe. Like, it's just so nice being around Palestinians and everything. And we went to eat, got some Palestinian food. And then it was prayer time. And I was like, guys, I need to pray. But they were like, they didn't want to go to Masjid Al-Aqsa. And for some reason, I was just like, okay, like, we won't. I was like, okay, like, we'll go all together.
Felt like they weren't ready.
We thought we'll all go together when we've planned it, when we've made a day of it. Like, okay, this day we're going to go to Masjid Al-Aqsa with everyone else. So I was like, okay. But I was like, but I need to pray. So I was like, let me go find somewhere to pray. So I was asking people in the old city, I was like, is there a masjid that can pray? And they were like, yeah, the main masjid, like Masjid Al-Aqsa. So I was like, okay. So I just started walking. Yeah. And then like, so I didn't plan to go. It wasn't like expected that I was going. But when I went, like, I was just like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. I was like, how was I going to come to Jerusalem and not come to the Masjid Al-Aqsa?
Even if it's not a big thing,
exactly. And how can my friends say to me, let's not go, like, even though we're in Jerusalem, like, why are you in Jerusalem if you're not going to Masjid Al-Aqsa? But they were calm, like, they ended up coming anyway. I think they just brought like some abayas or something, because they do stop you to check, like, you're Muslim, and like because I'm white, obviously, my friend who was with us, he's also white. So like, I remember one time they only stopped me and him, so like asked us to say the shahada. I know, but like,
oh my God, they did.
Yes, like sometimes they stop you to check you're actually Muslim. And then so like it was just so beautiful, and I was just like, oh my God, this is so peaceful and so beautiful here, and you can really feel the holiness. And I just remember thinking, subhanAllah, it's crazy that so much like oppression happens in this land, but yet you feel so peaceful in this, like, in Masjid Al-Aqsa, and like the complex and the compound. And it's like a courtyard where so you have the Dome of the Rock, which is the yellow dome that everyone takes pictures of and posts. That's called Dome of the Rock. And then you have the Qibli Masjid, which is the first masjid that was built. And then but the whole place is like is Al-Aqsa complex, and is the masjid. So everywhere you pray, it's like the same thing, kind of thing. Like, it's like the Haram in Mecca. Like, you have the Kaaba, but then the Haram is like
around.
It's all holy. So it was just so peaceful and beautiful, and I was just so happy. Nice. Like, it was just like the best day of my life. And then but yeah, when I did eventually go to Israel, sorry, that was just like
that was a nice story, because when I was asking, did you ever go to Israel, and you were like, I've got such a nice story, and I was like, all right. Okay.
It wasn't when I went, it wasn't that bad. Like, people weren't staring at me that much, or maybe I was just used to people staring at me because I used to wear niqab. So maybe for me, no, I wasn't wearing niqab, but I used to wear it. So people staring at me wasn't a thing for me. Like, it was just like, that's just normal. Notice. Like, but yeah, when I went, I'm trying to think of the first time.
People always stare at me. It's just like, no, I'm joking.
No, but don't get me wrong, it's still a struggle when people stare at you, and like, it's not nice when you feel like everyone's looking at you.
I'm a bit oblivious as well, to be fair. Unless I'm with bare people and we're all being crazy.
No, I remember the first time I went to Israel. So I went to Haifa, which is such a beautiful city. And we stayed in this hostel, and so it's so built up and beautifully made and everything like that. Like, obviously, like, quite different from the West Bank. So you get Palestinians that live in Israel
because Israeli. Okay, cool.
Yeah, because they either they didn't leave in 1948, or so they just stayed in Israel in 1948 when like the Nakba happened. Obviously some fled.
So there's some Palestinians that do live in Israel still.
So it was nice. Like, look, I prefer the West Bank, even though it's all newly built and all modern and everything. Like, I just prefer the West Bank because it's more authentic, it's more real than my Palestinian people with me. Do you know what I mean? Whereas it's like when I'm in Israel, I'm just like, oh, like I'm giving my money to these people.
Yeah.
Like,
but did you have any like encounters or incidents with people trying to? I don't know. Apart from obviously stopping and checking, but like
the people aren't as nice. Like, it's not as friendly. Like, you just don't feel that nice, happy, comfortable vibe like from the way you do with the Palestinians. But
maybe the
just
Israelis
like,
do, but because obviously you're Muslim, then it's like they probably wouldn't embrace you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's even then I just don't think it is the same because it's like not everyone's as close knit.
It's not like a community vibe.
Yeah, and it's literally just like being in another European country. Yeah. So it just wasn't anything particularly special, but the country in itself is beautiful.
Yeah,
like the city in itself was beautiful. And it was nice because I was with my friends as well. So like that, it was a nice little trip.
Experience. Yeah.
But one time I did really enjoy being in Israel was when I went to Yafa, which is like basically the old kind of city near Tel Aviv, and I was on the beach. And the adhan went off, and I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. I was like, I'm so happy that the adhan is being played.
In Israel?
Yeah.
That's
and I was like, subhanAllah, like, it's just so nice.
Yeah.
It just made me feel like, you know, this is still Palestine. The Palestinians are still here. And like one day, you know, inshallah, this will be Palestine again. Not even Palestine, like, it will be like...
But just
the Muslims, do you know what I mean? Not that. It'll be for the Muslims and everyone live peacefully and happily with Muslims in charge. The Muslims will be fair to everyone. Do you know what I mean?
It will be a peaceful
and just place for everyone and anyone to live and be.
Yeah.
How it was in the Ottoman Empire
How
when the
it used to
Muslims
be.
did rule, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was really nice. And obviously you do have like Muslim communities in Tel Aviv and in like Yafa, and in Israel. But I didn't really go to Israel that much, to be honest.
Yeah, because you just want to stay where you are, I guess.
Yeah. And because our visa expired after 3 months, it was kind of difficult to
so what happens? So basically your visa expired after 3 months.
Yeah.
And then what you're trying to renew it and stuff, did that all work out or like?
No, so when my mum came to visit, my visa had expired, but I still wanted to go to Jerusalem with her. So there was a bit of a story where we got rejected at one of the checkpoints because obviously my visa was expired and I was trying to beg them to let me go through. Because my excuse was like, I need to go to the consulate to get it renewed. And one time they allowed me, so twice I tried to do this. And this is what I mean. So like the first time I tried, I was at one checkpoint and one line, the soldiers in one line never let me go through. Yeah. So I went to another line in the exact same checkpoint and they literally let me go through. So alhamdulillah, like I was just blessed. But obviously if I was Palestinian, I could never do that. They'll probably just like shoot me if I start trying to demand to be going in. But like I was literally kind of arguing with them, like the soldiers. I was like, please just let me go. I was like, you're just being horrible. Like I was literally saying all of this. I don't know what gave me the guts to be like that.
Actually crazy. But these are soldiers with guns.
Literally, and they were just like, they started laughing at me. They were just like, you can't go. And I was just like, please. I was like, just let me go. And then the second time, so one checkpoint didn't let me go through. So me and my friend were literally stranded in the middle of like a motorway, we had to hitchhike. So a Palestinian truck, like this fat ass truck, like, and the Palestinians in it, obviously only Palestinians would picked us up and like they blessed them, they dropped us to another checkpoint and we told them what happened and they were like, visa's expired. We tried to get through because our mums are here, so we wanted to go with our mums, like into Jerusalem.
You guys are actually funny. You're going on this journey, this adventure.
Literally, but this is the thing, like we were able to do this because we have British passports, but if you're Palestinian, do you think they could ever do this? They have to climb over the walls if they want to go to Jerusalem and things like that and like risk their life, like and if they get caught that they're in Jerusalem without a visa, they could literally just get arrested on the spot or like shot.
So it's like it's a risk and you'd probably just stay.
So while it's all like fun and games and it's a story for me to tell, it's not like that for the Palestinians.
That's their real life every day.
Exactly, but it just shows, even me with a British passport, as a hijabi, I was like treated like this and I wasn't allowed to go through. Obviously my visa expired. I guess no country would let someone go through, but it's kind of like, you're not renewing my visa for what reason? I'm studying in Palestine. You haven't given Palestine don't have the autonomy to renew my visa because they're not recognised as a state. Do you know what I mean? You're the one that's recognised as the state. You have the power to renew my visa, but you don't want to for whatever reason, because you don't want me to live in Palestine. You don't want me to learn Arabic, and you don't want me to like be with the Palestinians.
But why? So they just said we're rejecting your thing and we're not. And then what happened though? How did you end up?
So went to another checkpoint and they weren't letting us through, but we were just like, please let us go. So I think the head, or he was in charge, he came and we were just explaining the situation. We said, look, we're here studying in Nablus, we're here studying. Here's a letter from a university saying we've applied for a visa. We're waiting for the confirmation to come through. Like, we just want to go to Jerusalem. Let us go. And he was like, so he took us like to this room and we had to like walk with him, and we were just thinking, well, what's going to happen? Like, anything could happen right now. You never know, they could like lock us up or anything, because we're literally here illegally, technically. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they could say go home now.
Yeah, so we were being really risky thinking about it, because they literally could have just kicked us out right there and then and said go home. And he just like did some stuff on his computer, and we were like in his back office, and then he was just like, okay, you can go. And we were just like, oh my god, yes. We were like so happy. And like, I don't know if he was just being nice and let us go. I don't know what he was searching on his computer. Maybe he just pretended to search something just to like act like he was being professional or something. But look, I was happy he let us go. And I was like,
so what happened? Did you eventually got it renewed?
No, we never got it renewed.
So after 3 months, your visa expires. But you guys just end up staying there for the whole time of uni.
Yeah. So I would have loved to stay there even longer than 9 months. But what happened is just like literally couple weeks before our exams, we were all gathered in our room, in our university room, and we were told, listen, like, they've rejected your visas. So like now you're literally officially here, like illegally. Like it's kind of like potentially like dangerous. Not dangerous for you, but it's like bad for you to be here because they've rejected your visa now, whereas before it was in the process. So like they were like, we're gonna put your exams earlier and then you have to leave like kind of as soon as, like, SOAS university like have advised you to leave straight away. We were also distraught. We were just like, no.
Wait, so this is after the 3 months?
No, this is like towards the end.
Wait,
now.
So before you were just like, we're just staying.
Yeah,
and nothing happened. Like, even though you were there. And
because like our visa was just in process of being.
Oh, okay, fine. And then you realised at the like. Yeah, 9
they've
months,
officially Israel have officially rejected our visa extension.
Well, and how long were you supposed to stay there?
Like 9-10 months. Like, and then we could have stayed there longer. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would have loved to stay there the whole summer and just gone home only in September when my uni was going to start back in fourth year back in London. I honestly would have stayed the whole time
for the holidays as well.
And I really kind of wish I did now, but anyway, Allah.
No, but okay, go on. So
so we were told like you're advised to leave like as soon as you finish your exam. So some people booked their tickets straight away. I was just like, no, I'm staying longer. Like, I want to experience Ramadan here because Ramadan was going to start, and I really wanted to spend some of Ramadan there. So I was like, I don't care, I'm just gonna stay a bit in Ramadan and then book my ticket. Like, we're here anyway, we're here illegally anyway, what is a few more days gonna do? Like, what's the difference, kind of thing. So some of the people went early, and that was the girl who got told she was banned for life. So obviously we were like, crap. Like,
wait, because they found out the situation where she was going back and they can never come back.
But so 3 of them went at the same time. One of them got banned. The other 2 didn't.
Why?
Exactly, that's what I mean. Like,
because it just depends who you get.
They're not a proper country with proper rules. Like, they're just weird. They just do what they want, and that just shows. So imagine like with things like that, like admin stuff. That's how they are. So you can imagine like the soldiers. They have free reign to shoot whenever they want, do whatever they want with no consequences, because it's kind of like
no one's holding them to account. So you do what you like.
Exactly.
It's too much power.
Yeah, so
they went back home,
and one of them got banned. So we were all kind of just like, because they were non-Muslims that went, and they were like white girls.
Oh, okay.
Kind of thing. Like, the rest of us were like Muslims.
Oh, I thought everyone was Muslim. I don't know why my
No, so there were 4 like non-Muslim like white girls.
That's not okay.
And then the rest of us were like ethnic and Muslim. Like,
so then you guys stayed. You and the others were like, we're gonna just stay for a bit.
Yeah, so we stayed for a bit longer. And like some people, one of my friends was really skeptical. She was like, I don't know, like we're told that we should go back ASAP. Shall I? And I was just like, up to you, B. But I'm a risk taker. I'm a bit of a
You're like, as soon as possible, I'm going to interpret that widely and go when I think as soon as possible.
And I remember my mum, she was really worried. She was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? She's like, I'm going to make dua for you. Like, please just be careful. Yeah. She was really worried. Probably like the duas of our mothers is what kept us safe, honestly. Like, but yeah, so that was that.
Did you end up? When did you guys end up leaving then?
Maybe like 3 weeks after we were meant to, or something like that. But we were all really sad about it.
Oh, what has your experience there like taught you? What are your main takeaways? And I guess now, because you had that experience compared to like before, where obviously you're still free Palestine, but now after that experience and everything that's going on now, is there a difference in how you feel towards it? Yeah, so like what's the difference, I guess, after being in Palestine and then obviously it was a little while ago, but now everything that's going on and blah blah blah, like
so
how's it affected you?
Definitely, like I feel like I have like a very emotional attachment to Palestine and also the people, because obviously I made friends there and stuff, so it's like it really really hurts like seeing everything.
Because before it was like moral, obviously we know what the right thing to do is, but now it's like
before it would anger me, now it literally breaks my heart, like it makes me so upset, do you know what I mean? Like it's like not even anger now, it's like literal hurt and just like because it's like they're like my people, do you know what I mean? Like I know them, I live there, like honestly Palestine has my heart, like literally, so it's like when I see that stuff I feel it like it's being done to my own family kind of thing, like so it's just so sad, like because I know obviously I've spoken to people there and they tell me their stories and they tell me what they go through and stuff, so it's like, and I live through it with them in a way,
so it's like you can literally imagine it, like
I can like literally imagine what's happening, and like obviously I could never feel it the way they do, but it's like just a little bit that I do, it's like enough kind of thing.
Like it's not detached, because you actually know people, like you know their names, you know their lives,
exactly,
because it's like that's wrong to do that to people. Then it's different when it's like I know them.
People, like, I've been there, I've lived there, like I have an emotional attachment and connection to that the people and the land, even though it's not about land, but it is in a way, because it's like
because it's their lives, it's their homes, it's their,
and Palestine is so
everything.
beautiful and like but your other question about what I learned and stuff, takeaways, like I definitely learned so much just living there and experiencing things and seeing things for myself and understanding the situation on the ground, like even before I would hear all these names of like cities like Bethlehem, Nazareth and like Jerusalem, but when you actually go and you visit the cities, it's kind of like you see it
brings
real
it to life,
like what it is kind of thing, and how the checkpoints work and how the walls work and how all of that stuff, it brings it to reality. It's not just like this thing that you hear about, like
that you read about,
go through checkpoints and there's walls built to separate them, and so that it kind of just came to life. And the biggest takeaway was probably, I don't know,
like if you could say something to like people listening or to people that you know, like because obviously now there are a lot of people that are talking about it, there's some people that are not, there's, I don't know, like what would you want to,
what I want to say,
to know that maybe
I just want to say like Palestine is a beautiful place, and it's not all bad, like it's not like when I would tell people I live there, they're like, oh my god really, I'm like like it was so safe though, like in Nablus like it was fine, it's just like a normal Middle Eastern country, but at the same time it's not, because the people don't have freedom, their water is controlled by Israel, their electricity is controlled by Israel, they just have no freedom of movement, just everything that I've mentioned. But at the same time it's so beautiful there, like just the people are so friendly, like this is what I really want to talk about as well, just the people there, like and their kind pure hearts and souls, like everyone's just so loving and nice, and like they just want to welcome you, and like for example you would never find this in any country. A waiter in a restaurant that we went to just invited us to his house for dinner and like wanted us to meet his wife and his baby and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Like you would never find that, like having dinner with your neighbours, just them inviting you around and cooking food for you. There was this auntie we had there which we called her khaltu, which means like auntie in Arabic. Every week she would cook for all of us and like give us like an Islamic dars kind of lesson. And it was just so beautiful. It was like we had our own mum in Palestine. Do you know what I mean? And like obviously because we had to cook for ourselves and everything like that, it was just so nice to have that home cooked meal. Once
to
a
feel
week.
like there's family there.
And like we could literally go to her for anything if we needed anything. Like always go to her. She was like just so amazing, and like she just obviously made the trip like 1,000 times better. And just people just always just want to help you and like be your friend, and like. And the country itself is just so beautiful. There's so much nice scenery. Like in Jericho, which is the lowest point on earth, apparently. I think, it's really, really hot there. Like so hot in the summer. But in the winter, it's nice because it's like... it's like summertime, normal summertime, not like scorching hot summertime. And it's just like really nice to go there because there's all these different like wadis. I don't know what they're called in English, but like I don't know what they're called in English, but
yeah, I don't know how to help you because
it's just like got rivers and like got not mountains but hills and stuff, so you can just go like for hikes and stuff, and they're just really pretty. And I would love going hiking and like exploring and stuff, but I didn't do as much as I would have liked to, honestly. Like I really want to go back and just explore Palestine more. And there's this page called Hike with Allah, so HIKE with ALA, and he just posts like all these beautiful pictures of Palestine and like and I just love it so much. Whenever I see his pictures, I'm just like, it takes me back to like being there and just
inshallah you can one day. If they don't see our podcast and try to stop you, but
God knows what's going to happen. They're definitely going to block me from going now.
It'll be fine. No, but obviously maybe right now it's obviously a bit, I don't know, tumultuous, but maybe, who knows?
Yeah, and who's going to be checking up on Habibah Green? Do you know what I mean? There's just going to be like...
there are bigger things to worry about, I guess. I don't know.
And I'll just give them like some next email. I won't give them one.
Give them twice.
Yeah, but like, I have a podcast.
No, joking. I'm joking. Is there anything else you wanted to touch up on?
So I want to talk a little bit about Jerusalem as well. So obviously everyone, I'm sure, knows what's happening with Sheikh Jarrah, but that's not a new thing. Like that's been happening.
Yeah.
Because the Israelis want to, okay, I can't say this word, but Judaization. I can't say the word.
Okay, so basically Judaism, but ism at the end.
Yeah, to make Jerusalem very Jewish.
Okay.
Which is, there's no problem with that, but not at the expense of Palestinians and other religions.
Yeah.
It's an important place for like the three main world religions, Christianity, Judaism.
Yeah, it's a holy place for everyone.
So just let everyone live there peacefully. But no, they want to kick out all the Palestinian families that live there, that have lived there for like decades, and some of them are there because they fled from their homes in other Palestinian cities because they were kicked out. And they're trying to just basically take over the whole of Jerusalem. And
what happens?
Yeah, go on.
And what happens to those people? Like where they want them to?
I don't know exactly. They're probably just...
They're refugees, obviously, in different places.
Yeah, they're already kind of refugees, and then
in their own place.
Yeah, and now they're being kicked out again, kind of thing. So in Jerusalem, the old city is just really nice, and I would love walking through all the shops and stuff. But it's so sad because one Israeli shop owner that I was talking to, he was saying how he's not allowed to sell food in his shop, and obviously that would be his livelihood to sell food in his shop, right? But the Israelis have banned him from selling food.
A Palestinian or an Israeli?
Yeah, no, a Palestinian. Because obviously they don't want him to make money. They want him to suffer. So they do these kind of things where they don't let Palestinians have a livelihood for themselves because they want to slowly take over these places.
Yeah.
And he was showing me how like there was this basement and it leads to Masjid Al-Aqsa if you go through his basement in the shop. And he was saying this is why they don't let me sell food here, because they don't want it to be like a flourishing place for me, and they want to take over my shop and take it from me.
Yeah.
And it was just so sad. And obviously there's a huge difference as well between the way things are built up in East Jerusalem and then West Jerusalem, which is the Israeli bit.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's more funded by the government and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then also refugee camps.
Yeah, what are you going to say about?
So my friend, her dad is friends with this Palestinian man who's so sweet. Like he messages me till this day, like all the time, just asking me how I am and like and stuff like that. They're just so sweet. And so he's a refugee, and he, I think, is originally from Haifa, and he lives in a refugee camp. And we went to go and stay with him and his daughter because he has like children, obviously, and his daughter's like our age. So she was like our friend when we were living there, and she would always invite us around and say, "Come stay with us." And yeah, just the conditions they live in are just obviously like not the best. Like it's very cramped. There's no lighting. They kind of like live in these little shacks, like all cramped together. And they're kind of like these little communities, like in villages where there's like shops in the refugee camps and stuff like that. But obviously it's just not very well funded or looked after. So it's just quite dirty, and just, you can imagine probably with COVID, not breathing around for it and stuff. But even then they were just so welcoming and so generous. Like they let us sleep in their beds and stay in their homes and like would cook for us and everything like that, even though they haven't got much themselves.
And like these are Palestinians in the refugee camps in Palestine, and it's like when you think about refugees, you think about people like fleeing war or destruction from their home country and they can't return, and you know, it's unfortunate circumstances. But it's just crazy that it's like
they're in their home country,
but they can't be at the same time.
Because obviously what happened when, I think with these refugees, a lot of them were told you'll be able to return. So they just built temporary homes, do you know what I mean, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And obviously many years later, they are still not being allowed to return. And there's this whole thing of like the right to return, where Palestinians have a right to return. And I don't know if people have seen, like, there's like one of the Palestinian symbols is this key, because it's like grandfathers and like people would keep their key to their old house and pass it down onto generations and be like, this is the key to my house in Haifa, in Tel Aviv, and in wherever. And like, obviously people still have hope that one day they'll be able to like return.
And they still have the keys.
So that's what the symbol of the key is in Palestine. And like, I just learned so much in our Arabic lessons. In our Arabic lessons, like it was all about like Palestinian history and culture and things like that. So we're learning everything in Arabic about Palestine, kind of thing, which was really nice. So that was very informative as well. But yeah, I think that's mainly everything.
Well, thank you, Habs, for sharing that experience with us. I'm sure people are going to enjoy it and think like, because even though everything's going on now and it's in the news and it's all over like social media and things, it's like, it's a different perspective, and it feels more like, oh, okay, this is the actual reality of what happens. And sometimes when things like this happen, why did that sound weird? I don't know.
Sometimes things I say sound weird. I'm like,
and it's fine.
Does that even make sense?
Like, it feels like we can get desensitized. Like, and that's something that I don't like that. But when you bring it as like the people and what happened and like the actual things, like it can hopefully bring that back to people.
100%.
But yeah, thank you so much. That was so interesting, honestly.
I'll probably remember more things as time goes on, and maybe like I can mention things slowly here and there.
Yeah, definitely. And like we can still talk about it and things like that. And I feel like hopefully it's an ongoing thing, and it's not just going to be like yesterday's news and stuff like that. But,
exactly.
But yeah, so hopefully people really enjoy this episode, because I enjoyed it. I did.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I was going to say, did you find it interesting?
No, yeah, I enjoyed it. It was interesting, because obviously I have heard about some of the things before, but a lot of it I was like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So
yeah, it's
good to like share these experiences that you have and remember it for yourself as well.
Yeah. Oh, another thing I just remembered actually, because I said there were two like kind of instances of violence. The other one was when we were in Jerusalem for the last time I was ever in Jerusalem in Ramadan, and we were staying the night there, and it was like after iftar and we wanted to go find somewhere to get sahur, so we left one of the gates, and there were like all these shabab, like the youth, just like chilling and stuff, and like obviously the police were there, all the soldiers were there with their guns and stuff, but like nothing was happening, like they were just chilling, like having a good time. And like literally a minute after us walking away from that, we hear bullets being fired and like people running and stuff. Like we literally could have got caught up with it. It's mad.
Oh my God, that's so scary.
And obviously me being me, I was like, guys, I want to go back. Like, I want to see what's happening.
You're actually crazy.
And then my cousin and my friend who was with me were like, are you crazy? We're not going back. Like,
dragged you back.
And then people were like running in the opposite direction, and then I think we didn't know what way to go back into the old city, so we were kind of going that direction, and people were like, no, like there's guns being fired there, so don't go there. And we were just like, oh, okay. So we went in through another entrance, and then I think the next day on Instagram, on Eye on Palestine, which do you follow? Like,
no, but
it's like
Eye on Palestine, like eyes and eye.
Yeah, a lot of people have started following it recently. I've noticed, and like it shows like live on.
I might have seen their page, but I didn't.
They just post videos of things that are happening in Palestine, like live on the ground kind of thing, like it's instant news kind of thing. And so the next day it was like videos of the shots being fired right where we were, just like 2 minutes before it happened, and it was just saying how like the Israeli police were just trying to like calm crowds down, so they just started firing bullets, like I don't know, just probably because they didn't want the Palestinians to just be out anymore. I don't even know. Yeah, there's no reason for them to do anything, and they just do things sometimes. But that was it. Otherwise, I never really actually saw anything myself. Yeah, like people getting shot or anything like that, because we were told to not go to any areas that potentially might be violent or where there might be protests and things like that. Because obviously when we were there were things happening.
Yeah.
But we just didn't
You
go.
avoided that, which is probably the safest thing to do.
Yeah, and one time when my cousins came to visit me, they saw things like they were in the middle of tear gas being fired and stuff, and like all this madness. So they kind of ended up seeing more than me, even though they were just there for a few days.
Yeah.
But like, I kind of wanted to see this stuff because I wanted to like see it and witness these things for myself and bring it back home and be like, this is what I saw, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe Allah just protected me from that because He knows I'd probably just be crazy and like do something.
Yeah, you probably try and get involved and then problems happen. But like you know anyways what happened.
Yeah, because everyone before was like, Habibah, just don't get involved.
Yeah.
If you see anything, just don't do anything.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, guys, don't worry, I won't. Like, but like I'm trying to think like, what would I do if like, because some of the things I see, like when I see videos, for example, I don't know if you saw this video of this journalist in Jerusalem, this female journalist, just being like grabbed up by the Israeli police and her camera being taken from her and all these Israelis attacking her. I literally know that shop that it was at. Like we used to have lunch there all the time. Like it was crazy. And I'm just thinking like, imagine I saw things like that.
Yeah.
Like what would I do? Would I be in the crowd jumping and trying to save her?
But I think obviously it's not, you can't just, because then you're risking your own life as well. It's just like, I don't know about this situation. But you could do your best in it and just.
But yeah, even in Jerusalem, in East Jerusalem, where it's meant to be the Muslim quarters, there's just Israeli soldiers and police everywhere on every corner. Why? Just leave them alone. And then you also have these like Jews walking through the area. Why? Stay in the west part. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, there's no problem with Jews, but it's like they're there because they want to show
can go
the
wherever
presence.
they want.
They want to show like we have this presence. We can walk through these areas, and we will because. Do you know what I mean? Like we slowly want to take over.
It is bizarre.
And there's just soldiers everywhere to protect them.
Yeah, no, that is crazy. I think it's interesting to get that inside perspective and make it a bit more real and stuff. So thank you again for sharing your experience. You can take a breather.
I hope people, thanks. I hope people benefited from it. And if you have any other questions, or you want to know, just send them through. Get in touch with us and let us know what you think. But yeah, guys. And also, one last thing. Everyone visit Palestine. Like, it's very important to visit it because they want to make Muslims scared and they want to make Muslims be like, oh, like, let's not visit it because it's so dangerous. But no, we need to show them, no, like, we're still going to come and visit our holy mosque and our holy, this place because it's important to us as Muslims. We're not going to abandon it. They're out there fighting for Masjid Al-Aqsa and we can't even go and visit it because we're scared we're going to get stopped. Like, obviously, I understand it can be scary, but just try. Do you know what I mean? It's so important.
And there's power in numbers. It's like, if everyone feels like that, then nothing will ever change. But if everyone has the same mission, the same thing, like, then no one should be scared.
Exactly. And Palestinians want people to come and visit. They want people to see what it's like and tell people back home. Like, that's an important thing for them.
Yeah.
So it's important for us to do that. Yeah. To show our support as well. But a lot of people do go there, like, to just visit. Like, there were a lot of foreigners I saw just from America, from China, not from China, but probably from China, from everywhere, like, around the world. There were bare foreigners and bare visitors, because obviously everyone wants to come and visit Palestine at the end of the day. Like, so yeah, it's not somewhere where it's just like some airy-fairy place that no one can visit. It is a place you can go to and visit.
Yeah. Thanks so much for listening,
Thank you guys.
guys.
Hope you enjoyed. Salam.